Been a minute since I vlogged, huh? Hey, what's up? I'm Rose. I'm a writer and artist, and this is a writing vlog. This week is all about word choice, voice, finding stuff, putting my skills to work, and also some reading I've been planning to do. Let me show you. I have a big stack of graphic novels that I got from the library, and a few I've had on my shelf for a long time. Yes, so many books. So I've been in this headspace where it's been kind of tricky to do heavy editing work and read other people's fiction, especially fantasy. But I kind of thought graphic novels might be a great solution to that, just to mix up my reading routine a little bit. And this one's gonna be my first one, I think. It's Guts by Raina Telgemeier. Got it from the library, like I said. And I'm gonna see how many graphic novels I can get through this week to just sort of immerse myself in voice and characterization, see how the different artists do it. Seat stolen. No remorse. Not a bit. Good job. So here's the thing about character voice. It was an aspect of storytelling that I thought came naturally to me for a while, at least. It was something that I actually received feedback during critique sessions, like positive feedback, you know. My critique partners would mention it as a strength in my storytelling, but something in the past year kind of broke that skill for me. I went through a tough period with my YA fantasy novel, which is now done, but when I was finishing drafting it, I really lost the main character's voice. It's told in third person, past tense, but it's a really, really close third, or at least it was supposed to be. But for a while, I kind of lost her. I knew that was because of a few specific challenges in her personality, because she is sort of at a coming of age moment where she's having a really hard time finding herself and making decisions about which way her life is going to go. I know those were hard decisions for her to make, but I didn't want her to come off as flaky, indecisive, insecure, and meek, because in my head she was this character with a strong personality and a strong voice. You know, she was someone who had her opinions. She just wasn't necessarily able to act on them in the situations that she was in with the particular social pressures. And then as soon as I started having this problem and noticing it, I was like, oh no, is my writing broken? Is this a problem I have now? Like, I can't access my characters, I can't access their voice. I went through so many crises regarding that in the revision process. For a while, I was worried I was going to have to rework the entire thing, that the third person just wouldn't ever be able to get close enough for her voice and for the genre and YA in particular. But at the same time, I didn't see her as somebody who would be narrating her own story in the moment in like a first person voicey way. So that's where my decision making was. And literally paragraph by paragraph, I have been reintroducing some of that voice, injecting it into the line level through word choice, through certain jokes. She's a funny character. She's super observant. She has kind of like a sense of irony that feels very familiar to me from those like late teen years where you're like, oh, what am I doing? LOL. But like, you have a really keen sense of right and wrong in the world. and you're just like beginning to voice that. At least that's my experience. I don't know. So all this to say, I fixed it, but it was a bit painstaking. And for my next project, I am ready for something a little bit different. So my next project, my novel, it's another YA fantasy novel, but not in the same series or anything. It's hopefully going to be a standalone. It's a multi-POV, first person. I think we're gonna do past, but I might even do first person present. We're just gonna see what the vibe is. So it'll primarily be dual POV. I have two sort of primary perspective characters, and then maybe like 20 to 25% of it will be a secondary perspective character. Something I'm working on while I prepare to write this, I'm working on the outline right now, and I'm also working on developing these three characters' voices. The worst thing about multi-POV books is when you can't tell whose chapter you're in. If you pick it up, maybe you read a couple pages of chapter and you pick it up later and you've like forgotten which character you're reading, you know? And it's the writer's job to make sure their voice on the page is as recognizable as possible. I have a sense of their archetypes. The character who's probably like my primary character is jaded. She's depressed. She's funny, but she's like a 40-year-old trapped in a 17-year-old's body. That's kind of a weird way to describe her. I don't like that because I also feel like an elder trapped in a 24-year-old's body. Although my birthday's tomorrow. I'm almost 25. She's like the brooding pessimist. Fun to be around if you get her out of her shell a little bit. My second primary character is the one who's going to be getting her out of her shell, and she is an erratic, ambitious, scheming, energetic witch. Oh, they're all witches, by the way. The details may change here, but it's like a magic is forbidden situation, so not everybody knows who's a witch, who's not, blah, blah, blah. And finally, my third character is separate from the other two. She's in a different location, and she'll come in later in the novel, but she is a failed seer. So she has the power of foresight, but nobody believes her. She is definitely going to be a little bit more whimsical, a little bit less grounded. Something I have to decide is whether she's insecure about her failed prophecies or whether she still believes in them and whether she's trying to convince people all the time. I'm going more towards the latter because I love that trope, and I do think there is a lot of room to play around with like, oh, well, were her prophecies technically correct in some way, or like more information is revealed later on. I'm so excited for them. I'm excited to write from their perspectives instead of from a somewhat more omniscient perspective, because I think it'll be good exercise for me. Also, I finished this yesterday. It was very cute. Highly recommend. For each of these, I'm going to show you my favorite page. This one is great. Okay, let me put it right here. So first of all, this is page 5. And I just think it does a great job of setting up the dynamic that is between Raina and her mom. There's also this like really weird fact about artichokes on this page. But what I'm noticing is, even just from this one, I guess what I'm reminded of is the efficiency with which graphic novels can set up situations through little snippets of dialogue and how much you can understand about somebody by the way they talk. There's also typically in like a graphic memoir like this, there's also like the voice of present day well, in this case, it's like present day memoirist Raina Telgemeier. And so that adds really interesting layers to the POV. Next, I'm reading this. It's Spinning by Tilly Walden, another graphic memoir. Another purple, too. Hey. Hey, sweet pea. I read this evening. Once again, it's Spinning by Tilly Walden. This was devastating. Oh my god, absolutely heart-wrenching. Probably a new favorite. Hey, Star. I love a sad one, guys. But if you're gonna read this, definitely look up trigger warnings. There's a little bit of everything in here, honestly. Even with guts, I would say you might want to look it up, but that's more for like gross body and food stuff. But anyway, this book. Beautiful use of voice, particularly pauses, which works very differently in a comic form compared to writing, but it was something I was studying throughout. And I'm going to show you my favorite page. It's actually just one illustration. This is the spread it's on. Basically, there's this one visual motif that's repeated, which is these two beams of yellow light. It's really masterful. One of the things I also noticed that's really interesting, I won't talk about the book itself, though I highly recommend. There's a fascinating author's note in this where Tilly Walden describes, she talks in this author's note about how she, let's see exactly what it says so I can quote it. So in this author's note, she basically says that people always ask her what this book is about, and she just says ice skating, which it really doesn't even come close to what this book is about, and she kind of knows that herself. And she says, it reminds me of how in English class in high school, we'd always talk about the author's intentions in every moment. And I used to always wonder if there was ever an author who didn't really mean any of it, and the meaning found its way in by accident. I think I'm that author. And for a book that like shook me to my core and felt extremely profound and intentional and thoughtful and retrospective and introspective and all that, what a thing to say. Very cool. So I'm not getting a lot of writing done today. I'm not really at my best. That's not obvious, but that's okay. That's just how it's gonna go today. Next, I'm going to read something completely different from my stack of graphic novels, and it's the fourth Taz graphic novel adaptation. This is one of my favorite arcs of Taz, and it's funny, so maybe I won't feel so emotionally devastated. Also purple, well, magenta. All I'm saying is this is a very pretty stack of graphic novels. Also, I'm dyeing my hair tonight, so say goodbye to the copper ends. You'll see what I do in a little bit. Here's another tricky thing about voice. It is an aspect of writing that really, really varies from form to form, from fiction to nonfiction. It really adjusts like to the length of the piece, to the purpose the piece is supposed to serve. And if you're a writer like I was when I was drafting this book, if you're a writer with a creative job, and particularly with a writing job, then you should know that that can be a really challenging thing to work through, because it was really hard for me. It was difficult for me to switch the voice that I needed to use for different projects. It was a huge skill for me to learn how to, in many cases, take on other people's voices or take on different voices. I was doing a certain amount of message writing, speech writing, website writing, you know, all of those had their own voice that was not mine, nor was it one of my characters. So I considered that experience really formative for me as a writer, and I don't regret it, but it did use up a lot of my fiction writing energy. And so I think it's going to be a decision for each writer whether you want to have a career that gives you writing experience, if you want that kind of to be your day job in addition to, you know, working on your novel, or if you want to preserve that writing energy and do something completely different. I think that is also extremely valid, and in some ways I could see myself having an easier time if I had gone that route. In some ways I do think it would have been harder, but I feel you out there, creatives who are in creatively taxing day jobs and careers. It's its own unique monster, I would say. So, what do you think? Dark brown. I love it. It needs a tiny touch up because I have a lot more hair now than I'm used to having. So I need to bust out another bottle of dye. But this is my fall look. It's also my birthday. Yeah, I'm doing a lot better than yesterday, which is great. Feeling really refreshed and motivated, just happy about some things that are going on. I started reading this. Very different than my first 2 books this week. I still have a lot of it. The artist, it's one of my videos exporting. How do you say her name? Carrie Peached? I really like her style, and she is very good at packing so many details into this. Super good. I also don't really remember most of the plot of the podcast, I'm realizing. I can stay pretty engaged with audio mediums, but I do end up forgetting more of it than when I read it with my own eyes. So this almost feels very new to me. Much to see. They love the boxes. You look like you're laying an egg, bud. Why are you stabbing me? Toes. I feel like every time I vlog, I tell you my plans for the week and then it immediately goes off the rails. And I dye my hair and I don't know what I'm doing, folks. But yesterday was great. I logged off for a while to celebrate my birthday. Just had some fun. And now I'm 25 years old. Hey Star, do you want to be in the video too? He does. I can't stop playing with my hair because of the novelty of the color, which looks jet black for some reason in this morning light. It's brown, but I love it. I love it. What are you looking for, dude? Trouble. Hey. here's what's going on. I am working on some stuff off camera that has to do with my query package, and I'm not talking about it too much because basically my sense of what will be good for me during this time is I'm gonna really focus up, do my very best, but not rigorously update or talk about or even really think about the process as it's happening. I just don't think that will be good for me. It's a personal call. I really want to focus on new projects during this time while my submissions are out. So I basically want to just think about what the next novel is, how it's going. And I was going to be planning a lot of it during this vlog, but so it goes. I guess just like an emotional week for me. Time's passing. I'm 25. I am trying my hardest to kind of look back on this year and decide if I am doing what I love to do. I'm kind of having that check-in moment with myself, and that kind of retrospection is really hard for me right now because my year has been defined by chronic illness. So I'm feeling like just really unsettled and unnerved about that, but this is why my one single coping mechanism that works, my journal. So I'm gonna spend some time with that today, I think. Other than that, I still have so many books in this stack of graphic novels from the library that I need to finish and return really soon, so I will still be working on that. And I'll probably put some painting footage in here for you because I put some clips in already, but look at this massive set of gouache paints. I don't know if you could tell from the clips like just how big it is. It's huge. I'm so excited. These are awesome. I already love them, but it is gonna take me a little bit of like time to figure out how to work with the texture and the consistency of the paint. So it's gonna be a big like sketchbooking time for me. Hydration. You like my nails? I probably could have done a slightly better job. But it was my first try at Halo Taco. They already have gouache all over them too. Hey, it's the weekend. A little bit draggled today, but that's okay. I finished reading this, I think yesterday. Let me show you my favorite. This was so fun. I think my favorite part of it is the color palette, but also like, I don't know, I just think they're really hitting their stride with this comic series. I actually haven't read the third one, but it's a really good comic adaptation. The style just looks super like lived in and fun. Why can't I find the page I was gonna show you? I like the magenta, I like the green color of this angel, and I also really appreciate how they've like kept some of the D&D elements of the gameplay even in the comic adaptation. If you've read any of them, you've seen how like Griffin McElroy, the game master, has like a presence on the page. So there's sort of like a meta thing going on. I think it's a pretty creative way to adapt. And now I'm almost done with this. And I have one more from the library that I need to get returned before I pick up my next stack. It's also by Molly Ostertag. I'm just like, this is like a show and tell session right now, but I've been practicing using gouache. This is my first ever attempt. My little wizard cat. so cute. And I've done some stuff in my sketchbook, but this is what I did yesterday. It's supposed to be like from Breath of the Wild, the silent princess flower, which I love because it looks kind of like a lily. It's got this little bud here. I learned that I was using like way too much paint, so I need to do some more practice. My goal is to finish this mixed media sketchbook of mine, which I've been using throughout the year. My goal is to finish it in December. I have 40 some pages left, so I think that's totally doable, but I do have to kind of like make an effort towards it and come up with more sketching ideas. I think it would be cool to have like one of these a year, basically. I'm very fond of this size in the paper. For my project working on my character voice to prep for writing my new YA fantasy work in progress, I do think reading these graphic novels has been really inspiring and has kind of gotten me in the headspace for doing that. I think I want to write like some snippets where I work out some backstory, but in their voice. So as if they're telling like a friend a memory. And I think I specifically want it to be their happiest memory. So they're kind of like reflecting on that from the point of view of where they are now. So one of my characters is going to be like really bitter about their happiest memory. One of them is going to be very much more like sentimental. And then there's like some amnesia going on in my story. So I think that will also be kind of a cool way to explore some of the ramifications of that. It's also for me a way to come up with story because I don't outline. So far, I haven't outlined like super well in like a bulleted way. I don't really think of story beats that way. I kind of reach for them as they come closer to the scenes I'm working on and the relevant details, you know, arise that way. But in talking with a few authors who have like a similar process, a lot of them I've noticed write like a short story, or they like pick a scene where they're going to like generate a lot of background information and all that. I really wanted to finish the embroidery project that's supposed to go up here this weekend, but let me show you. I want to finish it because it's so close, but oh, I mean, it looks way better than the last time I showed it on this vlog, but there are some details in the windows that I need to fill in, and then this and all these little spots here are bushes, and I don't know how to do the stitch yet, so I have to practice. So this vlog has kind of turned into like an ongoing work in progress update and just involves a lot of stuff I'm thinking about lately. I'm trying my very best not to feel too guilty about a slow week. I've felt this coming on for a long time, and I'm just glad, you know, I'm glad that the ideas are still abundant and flowing. That part's great. This was very cute. I can't decide between these two pages, so here's a couple spreads. The premise of this book just hits so fast. It's like, hello, we have gay selkies for you. And I just think the style is so like fun and lived in. I love it. Look at those eyes. So it's Sunday. This is gonna be my last check-in for this vlog. Ooh, look at me. yeah, this week was kind of a fail in terms of pacing and like prioritizing some things in my life. I didn't really have the capacity for a lot of the things that I wanted to be able to execute. I just continue not to as well. So Sunday evening, I'm hopefully going to get ahead of that feeling a little bit, just with some planning in my passion planner, which I'm gonna have to get a new one of these soon. I think I have something like 8 or 10 weeks left. So that's exciting. But I'm also gonna try to do some easy organization that doesn't take too much energy out of me. It's been a really tricky balance for me. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this part in, but with my health and with my chronic illness, I am still at the point where I can exercise and I can get out on hikes and stuff every once in a while. So we did one of those today, and I love that so much. That really helps me keep going, but it is increasingly more and more of a challenge, and it's making it really hard for me to balance. Wow, I'm kind of even losing words. It's just a tricky balance with anything that also requires a lot of focus or a lot of like standing up or physical reserves, you know? So right now I'm trying to acknowledge like how frustrating that is, but also like, you know, be gentle with myself, be kind to myself. So that's what I want to share with you too. Just, you know, do something special for yourself today, something fun, maybe get out, see those leaves if the trees are turning colors near you. Around me, it's gonna take a little while. It's still in the low 80s most days, but I have seen some fall color this week. Very exciting. And I'll see you soon with another video. If you enjoyed, give me a like maybe, or if you want to stick around, you can subscribe. I make vlogs like this about once a month, and I also do other kinds of art and writing experiments. The next things you'll probably see on my channel, I'm kind of in like a learning phase and a bunch of different things, so I'll be trying out some gouache paints very soon. I'm also going to try out some new classes and workbooks and craft manuals and all that for writing, so I'm very excited to share that with you soon. All right, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, this is Emrose. All right, see ya, bye.